Hi, my name is Gabriela Ramirez, and for my experimental research project plan, I chose noise on reading comprehension. Murphy concluded that reading in a quiet environment would be the best way to ensure comprehension. In their study, they had 6 different noise conditions, and reading comprehension was poorer compared to those in a silent control group. Younger and older adults were found to be equally susceptible to different noises, and speech was more disruptive than music. The extent to which reading comprehension is impaired depends on the task, the type of background noise, and the individual. Children with poor interference control, or in other words, the ability to filter out unimportant information, may be more vulnerable to environments where background speech is present. Reading goes on in the classroom frequently, and material should be taken in to help learning and not just because it is an assignment. Understanding whether the environment affects taking in information is useful. This can help create environments that facilitate reading, and this is informational for students to understand and become aware of how background noise can be more of a distraction for some individuals. For this study, it is hypothesized that having an environment with a louder noise level will reduce reading comprehension scores. Participants for this study will be those enrolled in middle school, high school, and college students. Ages will vary from adolescents up to adults, and both genders would be selected. Students under the age of 18 years old will require consent from parents and/or administrators. We are looking to gather at least 70 participants. During class, reading sometimes the environment can become loud. Other times, the teacher will create the classroom to be quiet when it's time for the student to read on their own pace. For students, it becomes important to know whether the environment has an effect on their reading comprehension. That way, if there is an effect, teachers and students can create the best environment possible. This study will be conducted in person so that reading comprehension is collected correctly. The materials for this study. Reading comprehension would be measured by assessments like reading passages and recalling that information later on with questions. The classroom setting is where the study will take place. A quiet noise level would be comparable to one of a library, where there is very minimal noise and not much talking occurring. A loud environment would be when multiple conversations are happening and it is difficult to focus without being distracted by the noise. Participants will be given 2 different but similar passages to read in 2 different settings. One passage will be read in a quiet environment where no one is talking. The only sounds heard is when and if the teacher talks, outside noises, and hallway noise. After reading the passage, their comprehension will be assessed. They will also answer questions related to the passage to analyze their ability to recall information from the passage. A different passage will be given to the same students, but in this classroom, various conversations are happening. There is another teacher in the room talking with the other, and a random group of students not being assessed that are having a random conversation in the back to cause a sort of distraction. Each comprehension test was conducted privately and in the quiet. The expected results for this study. Any incomplete data will be collected but excluded from the final results. An independent samples t-test would be ran to determine if noise level affects reading comprehension. The independent variable would be noise level, either being quiet or loud. The dependent variable would be reading comprehension. It is expected that there will be a negative correlation. As the noise level increases, their reading comprehension scores decrease. It is expected that students' reading comprehension scores will be lower in louder environments compared to those in quieter environments. It is expected that when students are in a louder environment, it would be difficult to focus on the reading and later on would score lower and not be able to recall information from the passage as accurately. And these are the sources that I used for my study. Thank you.